Good morning and welcome to Get Enlightened with me, Lauren Scott. I'm so excited to be here with my beautiful friend Christina Little. How are you, Miss Christina?
I'm good. Thank you, Lauren. It's so nice to be here with you
So nice to
and
have
join you
you.
on your new venture. I'm so excited to be part of this.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to catch up with you. The story of how we met and just how our friendship has blossomed over the last few years is incredible. And so let's get into it. So, Christina is my good friend from Dominican, and we met. Were we in Rancho? We were in Rancho the very first time, weren't we?
Yeah. We were in Jarabacoa
I can't
in
say it
Rancho
like she
Baguate.
does. You make it sound so pretty. I have what do y'all say? I speak Haitian, Dominican, Haitian Spanish. So my tongue doesn't roll my R's. She sounds beautiful when she talks. So I'll let you do all the
Oh, thank
talking.
you. No, don't even talking to me. Flowing with you.
So I was over there with a group that I served on the board, Bright Island Outreach, who does the dental mission trips, and I want to say we were with the University of Chicago the very first time. And you brought your daughter, and how old was Julia? How old was she then? She was young.
Yeah, Julia, it was like 2000, was it 2018, 2000? Yeah, like 2018. Julia must have been, oh my gosh, that was 5 years ago, 12,
Yeah,
itty bitty.
she was itty bitty, and she came in, and I just immediately connected with y'all, brought her over, let her clean some
Well, I
stuff.
didn't join. I didn't join till
No,
later.
that's right. It was just her. So she was just hanging out
Um,
with me all day long, and then you came in afterwards. That's correct. I forgot that it was just her.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Omar brought her over, right? I think it was Omar's place that we were doing the.
Omar brought her over. Julie was homeschooling that year. I took kind of like a year to travel and do some fun stuff with her after working a lot, and we focused on her schooling and enjoying life and change. And that day, she heard, I don't know how she heard about bio. I don't know if it was on internet. It was Rancho Baguate with their Instagram. And she asked if she could participate. And I asked Omar, who's a good friend of ours, if she could join. And I think he asked somebody there. They said, yep, bring her on over. And I dropped her off and I left.
And she literally hung out with me the whole day. Loved her because she
Yeah.
was not afraid to do anything.
I think
Sometimes.
she was a translator, right?
What? Yeah, she did translator and she did cleaning. So not cleaning
Oh,
people's
awesome.
teeth, but cleaning the little tools,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
doctors while we were going through. It was perfect. She helped with translating with me with all the little kids.
Oh,
Because we went to the school. Remember the school across the street and did the
yeah.
little cleaning for the school, so she went over there with us. And then you came,
Yeah.
and then we met and we were connected ever since then.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then we went on another trip. I came back down. You had kind of gotten on the board and was helping out with the Dominican part of it, and we went with the University of Pittsburgh with Max and his dad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having him on next week. I'm super excited about him.
Oh, they're amazing, Max and his dad.
I know, so fun. So let's talk about the importance of giving back at such a young age, because she took the initiative to give the call and say, hey, I want to go do that. Is that something that's big in your family?
Well, since Julia was little, I've I've always we've always had businesses, and I've always asked her to pick one person per month or two-person people per month or a family per month every year to focus on to give back to the community and something that they might need, whether it be even before I joined you guys, I helped somebody with their teeth, somebody with polio who had suffered from polio to get the medical care that he needed, therapy. The boys who clean the shoes in the Dominican Republic, a lot of times they don't have a place to stay. We helped one find a home. We always, single mothers in the community, people who cooked for us, somebody who might need every month we had a person that we would give back to so that she could see and, the importance of empathy and putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. is really how our brain grows. And I read that in a book one time and it really stuck with me. And I think we lack that a lot of times in our community. And now with so many things happening around us, we forget that there's so many people less fortunate than us, that maybe we can't change the world, but we can change the world for someone. And that those are things that I've always focused on since she was little.
I love that. I'm obviously big in giving back, and I've always been a big focus with Aiden on that too. So I think that the reason why I connected with y'all so much was because we had the same outlook on giving back to the community and giving back around and keeping our kids grounded. You know,
Yes.
I, Dominican is very much, well, like anywhere, very poor, very rich, but very little in the middle, huh? Like that, I would say that. There's not a whole lot of middle class, is there, throughout
Yeah,
Dominican? I mean,
exactly.
it's really
I
poor or really
slowly it's
well off.
growing now, but there used to be a bigger gap for
Yeah,
sure.
and there's not. And so, our kids get into that bubble of our bubble. You know what I mean? And it's so important to
Yeah, I
show
realized
them.
Julia definitely did live in a bubble. We lived in on the beachfront in a beautiful apartment on the ocean front. She lived her little bubble lifestyle. She went to an amazing school, horseback riding, swim lessons, tennis lessons, and I realized, there's a whole other side that she doesn't know, and she needs to know it. And we need to give back to our community, and we need to be more involved. And
And it starts young.
and today, I think it starts young, and I think it made her, the person she is today. And we a lot of her teachers actually compliment on that. Very grounded. She's always helping. She's also, when she doesn't feel like something is right, she puts her limits. Julia never gets into whenever she doesn't feel like something is right. So I feel like it empowers so much in you to give back and be part of, you're not in a little bubble world of, oh, and I guess maybe drama is what they go through, and social media. They're focused on so much more.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so let's also talk about you, because during this time you were completely your life completely did change. Like
Yes.
completely. I remember one time uh, you were crying to me, and then the
Everything.
next everything had changed. New job, new love, new family. So let's go into it, how it changed. And
Everything changed.
yes, the
From where I lived, I went from countryside, beachside, to living in the city. I went from I had a restaurant, and then I was acting and modeling a lot,
mhm.
to being 100% in real estate, which I had started in 2009, but I made it my serious career in 2019. It went really well for me. It's going well for me. Um, to meeting the love of my life
Yeah, I
and
was gonna
having
say.
two babies in less than 3 years, and having, and together we have six kids.
I know
I had
it's
Julia,
absolutely
he had
crazy.
three, and then we had two. And so it goes from me being alone with Julia, jumping in my car. We would go from, travel all over the country, do whatever we wanted. And now, it's us and five other kids plus him. And you know what she says? She says, I don't see it any other way. Like, I don't know how I don't see my life in any other way now.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow. That means you're doing a good job, Mama. That means that you're doing a good job. Because it was a challenge there. I mean, I know when you got out of the restaurant business, I remember us sitting down and talking or over by the pool with Max, and we were talking about what were you going to do next, and you just didn't know. And I told you,
I
I
didn't
said
know what I was going to
it's
do.
it's going to work out, girl. It's going to work out. And you were like, oh, I just don't know. And then not even, I want to say 6 months later, you're like, by the way, it's working out. And I'm like, I told you it would.
Yeah.
So what would you
No,
tell? Because this is, I mean, we think when you're going through it and you're having to switch your whole life that you're not going to ever get through it, right? And the people that are listening right now, they're in our age range of where change is happening, life changes, midlife crisis, what would you say, what would you give as advice for anybody who is in that dark place right now? What would you tell them if you could tell yourself something? You know what I mean? Like if you were in my place
Yeah.
talking to you, what would you tell that person now that you have
So
stepped out of it?
this is something, since real estate, I'm not just a person who sells you a home or experience, or I get to know my clients really well, and I get to know a lot of the people who work with me really well. And a lot of times I'm working with people who are going through a lot of change in their life, right? Whether it be a change positive or negative, or I always say, don't be afraid of change. One, that's one thing. Don't be afraid of change. And two, never think about what you don't have anymore, and always think about what's to come. Because
Yes.
your mind is so powerful that if you're thinking about what you don't have anymore, that's the only thing you're going to bring to your life. What today I was saying the exact same thing with somebody who they were just in a sit right before I called you. I was sitting with somebody and we were talking about this, and she said, "When I joined your team, I was in such a bad place, and all you kept saying to me was, stop thinking about what you don't have and start thinking about what's to come. And that's what you're going to bring into your life." And she
Yes.
said, and that's what I started focusing on in my life. And that's exactly what's happened. I'm empowered. I'm working with a great team. I'm, I don't just sell. I'm with my clients, and I'm daily learning new things. And it's not, I feel like when we're negative, we tend to fall into this place where we don't know what's going to happen, and we're scared, and that's a normal feeling to be scared. But then you have to find it within you to pull up out of that space, or have a friend who can pull you up out of that space and say, "Don't worry, like you did for me.
Aw.
It's going to work out like you did for me." And you have to think about what's coming. What do you want? What goals are you setting? And a lot of times, today it might not happen, tomorrow might not happen, but today, for example, my husband, I told him, I said, "You know what, today I feel like something positive is going to happen." And I said, something positive is going to happen. And today by 11, this morning at 11 o'clock, I made a really good sale.
Oh, boom.
Boom.
See? It's all about that law of attraction. I speak about it a lot. I'm a big believer in you attract what you
Yeah.
believe. That law of attraction it
No,
works.
I totally agree with that. But the thing is, people think it's going to happen right away. It's not, you
No,
know?
no. No, there's never fast fixes to
There's,
reality. There's never fast fixes. I feel like
there's never,
if it's a fast fix, then it's a red flag, right? Like I
I agree.
if it's a fast fix, it's a red flag. Only because to make real change and to like really attract, you have to go through those low parts to get to those high parts. You got to go through the high
You have
parts.
to know what you don't want.
You
That's why
ha-
you have to have those
yes.
low parts.
You have to figure it out. I mean, we're all just trying to learn. At the end of the day, we're all on the same path just trying to learn. And it's
Yeah.
finding the balance of what you truly want and then just going for it and doing it. Because that is
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. And you have to find that balance. So let's talk about balance. How are you finding that balance with two little ones, a teenager, your real estate career? You're in two countries because you're selling in the States and in Dominican. You're in Miami too. So
Yeah.
how are you finding that balance of life, work, home?
There is never a dull moment in my life. every day, every day there's something. And you know what? I've learned to embrace that, because I
Mhm.
used to love my alone time. I used to love to open a book. I used to love being quiet and nobody being around me. But you
Yep.
know what? I've learned to love this constant go. And I've learned to love this new opportunity that I've been given, because I never thought I was going to have any more children. And if you would have told me that I was going to have a baby when my daughter was 15 years old, I would have told you we were crazy and that I was never ever going to do that because I was finally, on the other side. But now I think I'm enjoying this time more with these two little ones. And I've found quote unquote balance. Um, just learning how to put limits up, honestly. I'm a giver. I know you're a giver as well. So I'm a person who's always giving my time, always giving my, but I also find that I need to give to myself.
Yeah.
And that's where I was slacking in the past. But I don't know if you've ever heard of biodecodification. I think that's what it's called. It's a special type of psychology. I mean, that's for another conversation. But I went through a lot of in my transformation. I did several sessions with
Mm-hmm.
a specialist, and I just found who I really was and how I really wanted to be in my life and where certain things that happened to me needed to be fixed. And I focused on that. And whenever I don't feel centered or I don't feel like I'm balanced,
Mm-hmm.
I have a saying that I tell myself. I was like, remember who you are and bring yourself back. And that's what I do because, it's so easy to be swept up in the moment and never find time, even if it's just like, I'm going to take 10 minutes longer to take a shower than I usually do, or I'm going to sit in my closet. I'm
Yeah.
going to read a book for me today. Um, and I've just learned, actually, from my husband, his family is very united, and they're goers and they're doers and they're givers, just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every moment they embrace every moment and they're happy with every moment. And his sister, I admire so much because she's always on the go. But then I found out that's kind of like, it makes me happy to be that way and not
Yeah.
so much. I guess maybe it's just the difference in my life that I found that I guess this is my new balance.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I and you can probably appreciate parenting a little bit more this go around than with her in a different way. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
It's a little bit more comfortable and like um you know what you want and you know how you're going to get it. You know what I mean? Like you were so much younger when you had her.
Yeah.
And
I
now
don't panic as much. I don't worry as much. I don't, I feel like, well, also I was alone with Julia. I
yeah,
have a partner now that I have a little bit of, help with everything. And it's not all my decision. It's not all me just worrying. It's two of us.
exactly.
And that makes a huge difference.
Oh, yes. I mean, I've told you over and over and over again, I couldn't imagine single parenting.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't imagine. I was truly blessed in that department with Sean, and I am so happy that you are being able to have that experience with your younger two ones because you are so happy and
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to see. And I'm so glad to have you on the story because your story is incredible. You know, it's one that people don't talk about a lot. You know what I mean? It's something that we know is out there, but people don't really talk about how hard it is. They don't want to talk about
Yeah.
how hard it is. They want to just put on this facade that everything's okay. And the way that you talk about your story and the way that you give back to the community, the way that you mother, the way that you lead yourself in real estate, like I've seen you just blossom into such a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful wife, mom, real estate work. I mean, like, shit, I'm gonna do real estate with you. Like, so, like,
Do it.
I'm just so proud of you, and
Thank you.
in the last 5 years, the difference that you have. I mean, you've really just blossomed. Like, you're just so happy, and you can tell in your pictures. And I wish I could be doing this in person right now because I need to come to the Dominican. It's been like 3 years since I've seen you, which is way too long.
No,
So.
I know. It's been more than 3 years.
Has it? Four, maybe 2019, I guess, was the last time I came down.
I don't remember. Was it 2019?
Yeah,
It
it
must
was.
have been
Yeah,
2019.
because it was right before I sold out, and it was right before I sold out. 2 weeks before COVID shut everything down. I mean, we
Okay,
talk
that
all
was
the
totally
time,
funny. Yeah.
but like actually coming
Um,
to Dominican, I haven't been in a few years, and I need to come back. Like, I want to bring Aiden, so we'll make that happen. But thank you for jumping on here with me
so
and for sharing your story.
I'm happy to every time. I'm happy to, especially if it's going to help somebody who's also feeling like they're lost. You know that feeling of drowning, and
It
you don't know what's
sucks.
going on
Yeah.
or what's going to happen next. It does suck, and that's why I love to talk about it, because it's you. I don't know. I was talking to a group of women the other day on another live podcast, actually, and it
Aren't
was,
they?
and somebody said, "What?"
I said podcasting is so fun. I've met some
Yeah.
really cool people.
So one person, she looked at my photo and she goes, "So you're telling me this, that I can go from me and my kid to all of this in a year or a year and a
Yeah.
half?" Or I said, "Yeah. I mean, it really did happen to me, and I felt like you were feeling. I felt lost. I felt alone. I felt, why is this happening to me?" I said, "Where am I going? Um, uh, Everything has fallen apart." Because I was building something for years, I felt,
Hmm.
and it just kind of, sometimes things have to break and collapse. And
So
something
astrologically,
I say
astrologically,
something.
sorry,
I
sorry.
say sometimes your heart has to break to make space for what's coming.
Yes. Well, astrologically, what we're seeing right now is the breaking down that's happening every, I think, every 100 years. So this is the
Uh,
time of like breakdown to rebuild, and I think that we're seeing that in every aspect of life right now, whether it be in politics, religion, um, communication. Like it's kind of like that breakdown to rebuild to truth and love and compassion, and going back into that. And you know that's what you did. You broke down and you've rebuilt, so you are like the perfect story to tell people right now that are going through the chaos.
yeah.
What was it that you said that you did to help you heal? What did you call it? Was it
To
biofeedback?
no, biodecodification.
What is that? Tell us a little bit about that.
So it uses, what is the word? It uses hypnotism, and it uses regression. So it's
Oh,
a form of psychology, right?
yes.
And so I did two regressions of in my life, of like moments of my life. So what happens is they'd guide you, right,
Hmm.
into, I don't know if it's a hypnosis. I don't know exactly what it is or what the wordage would be. But it's relatively new, not really. I don't remember how many years it's been around, but one of my friends had mentioned it, and she had suffered a lot of traumas in her childhood, deaths of family members. She was in Colombia when there was a lot of, when it was just a lot of people were dying around her, and she had a lot of traumas in her life that were kind of holding her back
Hmm.
from moving forward with her life. And she found this doctor, a specialist, who did these regressions with her, and she was able to pinpoint moments in her life that affected her for the rest of her life, and she was able to heal those moments with several sessions. And it what it does is it heals these moments, and then you're able to, you kind
Move
of form
forward.
move forward, but you form a, like, a saying for yourself. I don't know how you would, what my Spanglish is really off today, sorry.
It's fine, like an affirmation for
An
yourself.
affirmation, exactly. So you have like an affirmation for yourself, and that's whenever I feel off balance, or I feel like I'm not being me, or I feel like I'm not able to control the situation that I am in the moment, I just say, this is not you. Come back to yourself, and realize where you need to go. And that's what I kind of pull myself back. If I have to, if I'm having a really bad day, there were several times that I would write this affirmation on my hand. And whenever I felt insecure or I felt like there, when you're going through healing, there's days you just feel like you're walking like a zombie and you're about to
Yeah.
cry everywhere you go.
Yes.
And there are a lot of times where I had to, deal with situations that I didn't want to walk into, I didn't want to deal with because you already feel like crap. And to go into a situation, it's not going to be happy.
Hmm.
If you have to go to court or you have to go to deal with somebody you don't want to see, or you have to, I have this affirmation on my hand, which kind of it's personal, but it brings me back to center yourself and be who you are, and you know who you are, and you know where you want to go. And so I have this affirmation that kind of just sets me straight and helps me see the light again.
I love that. Is there a doctor for anybody who's listening in Dominican? Is there anybody that who would you recommend if they need that kind of healing?
So in the Dominican Republic, I met a doctor the other day on this other podcast. Her name was Dominique Fuentes, and she
Hmm.
practices as a doctor. And then there's the person who I had practiced with, which was the first person that was recommended to me by other people who had used her services, Fabiana Rasso. Um, and is they're amazing women who know what they're doing and they've practiced healing themselves. So I felt
You felt comfortable.
changed, and
Yeah.
it's not the tip. You don't do hundreds of sessions. It's not a constant thing. It's they play several sessions, and once they feel like you've done the work, then it's okay. So when you feel the need to come back, we'll have another session. But
Yeah.
I
So
think I did
if something triggers
5.
you, if something triggers you and you have to work on it and you feel and you see that it's needing to be worked on, you can always go back for the session, but really it just kind of pinpoints the points in your life that need to be healed and then work on that. Kind of like I think
Yeah.
what we call QRNT over here. It's
Okay.
kind of what it sounds similar to. But they use a lot
Okay.
of like muscle testing to like get to the certain points.
Mm,
I'm all
okay.
about those natural healing
For
life
sure.
regression because I think when you can do the healing from your past, then that helps you heal all the way through.
For sure.
Not only your bloodline, but your children's. You know what I mean? That's a generational trauma that can be healed
You have
that way.
generational traumas that I didn't realize existed, and and maybe things that you thought were normal that weren't normal. And as
Exactly.
you do these healing, then you're able to talk to someone or speak to someone, then you're able to realize, well, that wasn't exactly normal, or that's not how life should really be, or this is something that your family pushes on you. Um, and
I,
you realize, well, maybe that's not really what I want to be.
yeah.
And the only way for you to realize it is when somebody opens your eyes to it.
I'm into that one. And sometimes it's not so pretty when you have to heal it, right? When you have to like go inward and be like, "Oh, that sucks."
Exactly.
It's tough.
Exactly.
It's
And
tough.
sometimes when you're trying to heal, a lot of times people don't understand you. And that's the hardest part.
Mhm. That is very true. That is very true. Well, it's funny because I just flipped over a card that says all the things that exist in my life are the result of my thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Which okay, spirit, hear ya.
Yeah.
I feel like we that just sealed what our whole conversation was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It is. And it's true.
it is so true. And Christina, thank you so much for being such a dear friend to me because you two have gotten me through some tough times. And I'm so glad that we're on the upswing of life and living it to the best. I can't wait to celebrate
Oh.
with you. And thanks again for being on Getting Lined with me, Lauren Scott.
Well, thank you, Lauren, for inviting me and having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure, and you can always count on me. I'm happy, and I love you, and I'm happy to talk to you whenever and be part of everything that you're doing
Oh,
and
I love
support
you.
you.
I love you, friend. Hey, before we go though, sorry, that is my dog. That's not even anybody in on your end. That was my dog. Sorry, guys. Before we go though, shout out your. Do you want to shout out your socials and how people can get a hold of you? She does do luxury real estate in Dominican and in Miami, so this is your go to for both of those. Are you anywhere else, Christina? Or are you just in Dominican and Miami?
We're in Dominican, Miami, New York, Spain, and Dubai.
Okay, so Christina is the go-to. Christina, shout out your socials so anybody can get a hold of you that wants some luxury real estate.
Well, it's Christina with CH, Christina dot Pice Luxury. So Paez Luxury. Christina dot Pice Luxury. I
And
don't know
I'll,
if that would be hard for anybody to follow, but maybe you can write it out somewhere.
yeah, we can write it out. I'll link it up when I share the podcast. And thanks again for being on, sister. Love you mucho.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Love you too.